And let's get this one underway. Spawning down here in the bottom position. Give it up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Rogue. And his opponent up here in the top, representing the Shopify Rebellion, he is BYUN. Now, this is an epic grudge match between these two. If you guys don't know, these two are back-to-back world champion. BYUN won it in 2016, and then Rogue won it the year after in a grueling ZVZ versus Sue in 2017. And so these guys really do have that kind of pedigree in order to make this a fantastic series. Since then, they've been battling it out in everything from small events to all the way up to IEM. And like every single time they bout, it is literally the series to watch of any tournament. And funnily enough, when we talk about their old achievements for like winning the WCS Global Finals way back when, one thing kind of sticks out: the different way that they went about it. Because if we take a look at BYUN, he actually disappeared 2 years before his first win, not playing in any official tournaments whatsoever for at least an entire year. Like, he didn't even really show up until the Legacy of the Void beta, where he started coming up and started playing a lot of these online tournaments. I remember seeing him a lot in the ESL Americas Open. He won 23 Lifing Cups. And then off the back of that, he just was known as one of the most powerful players in the Legacy of the Void beta. This guy is feared because of that, and because of his very aggressive Terran style, which has really permeated on the ladder. Rogue, on the meantime, he's one of those players who's never really missed a beat in terms of good results. He's got three different IEMs under his belt. And just when it comes to these big Premier League tournaments, he is no slouch. There have been some instances in minor tournaments where he's not looked as strong as he possibly can, but that doesn't mean that you can disregard him in any sense of the imagination, because once there's any sort of money on the line, he kind of just turns it back on. Now, we do see BYUN going for a bit more of a conservative approach, giving a lot of respect to the fact that Rogue won't let that Reaper get a lot done, and has skipped it so that he can get the factory and the starport out. So we're going to go for a good old armory Hellbat attack. Now, what's really important for BYUN right now is he does need to make sure that he kind of sells that this is a normal, regular opening for him. If you don't see the Hellions, that kind of tells you, as the Zerg player, that, oh no, something is coming. I need to be prepared. Funnily enough, we don't see the armory down just yet, so it looks like he's not even going to kind of deal with the Hellbats. Instead, just going to be sending the Marines and maybe going for a little bit of a two-prong with the additional Hellions. That's kind of interesting to me. It shows that he doesn't want to commit too heavily to any sort of forward pressure, as we kind of see the Queens already in position. But, you know, Rogue still is going to have a good response. He's got speed already, and he is just pumping out Lings while also droning up. So while he's not overextending, overcommitting to the Ling production, he is just going to make sure that he stays safe versus these couple of attacks. Nice little pick off there by the Overlord. Going to just deny a little bit of vision. Now, the Lings are all the way over here. The Hellions are making their way over to the third base. There's not that many drones there, however, so BYUN recognizes that. He's just going to back off. And there you go. His attack, not necessarily thwarted, but he's just going to play. He just really can't make his way in anymore. So he just wants to play it a little bit conservative, just kind of keep the creep back and force some engagements out of these queens. It looks like the Hellions are going to be engaging down here as the medevac does get the pick off. That is very, very low health. On the other side of things, the Liberator does get some of the larva, but that will get taken down. BYUN not paying attention and relocating that. But now we kind of see this location where Rogue is feeling very secure. He's about halfway up to lair. He is droning very heavily because he knows there's not going to be a follow-up attack out of BYUN for at least another minute or so. And even going to get the Evo chamber so that he stays ahead in terms of that upgrade count. Just making sure that his units are fighting super efficiently versus the bio style of BYUN. BYUN just kind of powering up as we see the macro hatch going down. Tons of overlords getting ready for that explosion of the Zerg economy. He's already up to 71. Probably wants to add on maybe 5 or 6 more drones. Get up to that nice even 75. But here we go. That medevac coming in for another pass as he's trying to take away some of that pressure from his own third base going down. We do see the armory for those upgrades. So nice, nice. Rogue getting ready for a little bit of a backstab. He just wants to wait for that army to come on out to play. In terms of upgrades, upgrades are looking good. You know what? I know what's missing from this. There is no sound. Let's get the sound up real quick. There we go. I was wondering what was wrong. But anyway, we do have the production starting to just ramp up from both sides. Rogue done with the drones for now. He's just going to be pumping out tons of these banelings, tons of these lings. And from here, I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to augment his force with. Because right now, again, it's just pure Ling Bane. And while that can be pretty good if your opponent doesn't have any sort of splash, and the like, there are plenty of Widow Mines out to help deal with it. But now we see BYUN edging on the back of the creep. The Lings do get into the main base. BYUN's just not paying attention to this location, trying to fight up here on the creep. And so now his production is going to be very exposed. Gets one Widow Mine connection. Didn't really do too much, but that does force him home and wastes a lot of his mining time. Ling's just going to be coming in here, getting rid of that missile turret. We do have the infestation pit complete on Rogue's side of the map. He will be going for burrow as well, so keep an eye out for any sort of burrowed shenanigans on these Lings. Plus 2 upgrades, just a slight tad bit behind BYUN's, but again, that's not really going to matter too much, as I don't think BYUN is going to be able to hit a timing where that's effective for him. But now we got these medevacs just kind of flying around, and another big backstab. Is BYUN paying attention? Looks like he is, as he gets a huge connection right there. Good focus fire on that mine, although the Banelings do get a connection of their own and 8 more workers going down. I think this is a little bit of a hard spot for BYUN to kind of find that damage in, because now you can just pump out these 50 Lings. You can get tons of Banelings. You have the production to do so. And it's just really hard. BYUN is trying to just divvy up his army like this, because there's always going to be enough in both locations to kind of hold him back. Banelings do come forward though, and they will get cleaned up. A good focus fire and micro backwards going to save a lot of these units On the other side, though, he gets completely cleaned up by a Baneling connection. And from that, Rogue is going up to Hive. And Lurkers are going to be on the way pretty soon here, because he does have that Hydralisk Den down. So now, the big question for BYUN. Is he going to get stuck in this mid-game mindset? That's kind of one of his big problems, is that sometimes we do see him stick on this mid-game army. Just pure Marine, Marauder, Medevac, and Mine. And he doesn't get the Ghosts. He doesn't get those Liberators. He doesn't get any really sort of support for this army. And that's what kind of kills him in some late game situations. Especially with how aggressive Rogue is being. Like, he's forced to keep a lot of his army at home as well. And we can see he's just kind of barely edging his way onto the creep each and every single time, trying to push it back as much as possible, but not really gaining any ground with that. Does get caught out here in the center, and now the supplies are even, but BYUN has to recognize that Hive transition. He has to have his units ready to go. The Widowmine helping out, getting rid of that. Good focus fire, gonna get rid of some of those Banelings, but just not enough, as he's focusing a lot of his attention over here. But 21 more workers going down. Oh my goodness, it is absolute carnage for BYUN, and honestly, he has not done any semblance of the counter damage necessary to make losing that many workers worth it. Kind of just taking a look at the state of this game. While he is taking some decent cost-effective trades, it comes down to this worker kills. Only 2 going down to the 46 of BYUN. And as he moves in once again, he actually gets a decent connection on there. I don't know if that was a burrowed Baneling necessarily, but he does lose quite a bit of his army from that. And again, he's just kind of forced backwards off the edge of the creep. He's playing it very, very passively in order to make it work. Moving again, the Widowmine doing a little bit of friendly fire damage. Did he lose the armory? Yeah, he lost the armory earlier, so that's why he wasn't able to get that +3 attack. But he does get cleaned up on this side again. Another big Baneling connection right over there. Oh my goodness, Rogue is just everywhere. Forcing BYUN back. You can kind of see Rogue just really doing a good job of forcing those Widowmines to be a liability rather than an asset. Although they are starting to get a couple of decent connections there on the Lings. The Banelings, however, are rolling into this mineral line, and he will get more and more kills. Oh my goodness, this is just a terrible situation all the way around. And now he's going to have to deal with Banes and Lurkers. And he really doesn't have what he needs to stop those. Although, you know, Rogue is fighting without a lot of that support structure. So he might lose a bit more than you're really expecting. He gets the base, lifts up, gets out of there. That wasn't... Okay, I gotta admit that wasn't the worst for BYUN there. But now we see Rogue going to be coming in a little bit of supply block by losing that Overlord, but he will get the surround on this army. BYUN tried to parade push across the map, as you can kind of see, but that will not happen, as we do see him coming in once again for a little bit more. He's pushing his way forward. Does get the Widowmine to stop the bleeding there on the natural, but he's going to be pressing in a little bit further. Now getting a couple of drone kills. And there's not really that much being brought home to defend it. Now the lurkers are in position. But I think BYUN is doing exactly what he needs to do. Just fight where those lurkers aren't. Gotta be careful, though, not to lose the medevacs. You need to keep that threat looming over Rogue's head. But here we go. Another big connection into BYUN's Rogue's fifth base. Getting right on top, burrowing those lurkers on his army. But those will actually go down because they're not in the high enough numbers. Now he can start to fight this back. I think Rogue's biggest problem in this series, or in this game rather, is that he's trying to fight with as bare minimum as possible. And versus BYUN, you just can't afford to do that. You can see there, BYUN even taking some pretty good trades. He's ahead in that supply for the last minute or so. But his biggest issue, he has almost nothing in terms of his next stage of tech. He's just still going pure Marine Marauder. So if Rogue is able to hit critical mass with these lurkers, getting the upgrades, getting the connections with the spines, then he's going to be able to just steamroll this game. Yeah, like kind of like that, but on a bigger scale. See another big run by. Gonna get slightly deflected, but that is an orbital, not a planetary. So those Lings are gonna be able to get quite a few of those SCVs. We see BYUN once again trying to push in with quite a few Marauders to soak up some of those lurker hits, but now just kind of rotating around, looking for an angle to get in. We'll clean up the lurkers on this side. That is pretty good. I mean, the production tells a lot of the story, though. I think BYUN not really spending his money as efficiently as he necessarily should, just trying to deny the bases of Rogue and starve him out, though. Beautiful Bailey connection, or Widowmine hit right there. So now, you know, we are in this situation where Rogue is taking quite a bit of damage. I don't necessarily think that it's game ending for him by any stretch of the imagination. But you can kind of see the lurkers are getting cleaned up almost everywhere. The queen's even going to be going down, so there is no respreading of that creep. Oh my goodness, the focus fire is impeccable. For BYUN has to be careful, though, losing a full medevac full of Marauders right there. These Widowmines, I think they've just been sitting there since a long time ago. But here we go, once again trying to force the fight down here in the bottom position before Rogue is ready. BYUN is almost completely maxed out, and now he's bringing his full force to bear. Now take a look at it, though. He's running out of healing energy. And those medevacs are going to be paperweights in the sky for this orange army. How many Widowmines does he have burrowed around? Quite a few. That's actually pretty funny. Some good splits, making sure that he doesn't take as much damage to the lurker spines, but he still will have to back off of this position. We do see those 3 medevacs going to be coming on in. The lurkers are not burrowed. Scan going to go down, try and clean those up. Oh, that's where focus fire, it takes a little bit of a bad engagement right there. Didn't clean them up fast enough. Now this is a pretty girthy siege. Spines absolutely everywhere. As we see, this base going to be going down once again in terms of that income. And I kind of take a look at it. Because of these consistent run buys, because of these consistent base snipes, it is actually equal. And Ro8 is actually super broke, as is BYUN. Oof. Even losing the run buy is a pretty painful for him, as he's not able to remax at all, essentially. BYUN, though, is trading out quite a few units in order to clean up the lurkers. So if Ro8 can kind of just keep getting trades like that, it'd be a very Pyrrhic victory for him. But in the end, I think that's exactly what you gotta do. Those Widowmites getting more and more value as time goes on. Some good splits by Micro Jackson, though, is gonna be enough to clean those lurkers up without too much hassle. And now with a 20 army supply lead, he is just gonna push his way forward. The last lurker falls. And this is, I think, Ro8's last mining base. Yeah, he is completely mined out in all these other locations. So if he loses this, it's almost GG. Like, I think BYUN just kind of brute forcing his way through will be able to finish this one off with a win. That circling never got caught, though. Like, hide-and-seek champion of the world. Yeah, Ro8 continuously just trying to reposition himself with those lurkers, but not going to be enough. GG is called, and BYUN will take that first game on a... I don't want to say clumsy. I don't want to say bad win, but it was very, very... less finesse. Let's go with that. I forget English sometimes. It's okay. But, yeah, I feel like if he would have... you know, gotten a transition into maybe some ghosts to clean up the lurkers a little bit easier, he would have had a much better time of just kind of getting his way into it. But I digress on that point, because we do have spawning in the top corner of Jagannatha for map number 2 for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Rogue. And his opponent down here in the bottom, representing the Shopify Rebellion, he is BYUN. And now for Rogue. Like, that was a little bit slower to get those 3 drones. Not necessarily worried about anything, but he did just cancel one of them. Very, very interesting, as that means he's gonna have that spawning pool down, but nothing too crazy from other side. I don't think Jagannatha is really the map to do something too silly, especially when you don't really have a lot of kind of finesse room to breathe in this series, as, you know, it's a best of 3. Rogue might have to win 2 of them, but that is a lot more doable than, say, a best of 5. But however, going to be changing things up slightly, getting that Reaper for a little bit of information. That's one thing that we've seen him kind of switch around a little bit. Sometimes he'll get the Reaper, sometimes he won't. He'll just use that additional gas to go up factory, or you know what, Fastery. I'm keeping that one. But, you know, this time he's just going to be throwing that down. Yeah, nothing really too much else to say about this. We're going to have the Reaper come in, be a little bit of a nuisance. Good pullbacks. Making sure that he doesn't lose those lings too easily. They're getting very low, however. Alright, I find this a little bit interesting. So he's going to be delaying his starport for just a bit of time to get out some additional damage. We should be seeing either that tech lab go down, or maybe he'll just start pumping marines with a reactor. Let's keep an eye on that. Yeah, there we go. Tech lab does fall, so a little bit of a faster stim timing. He's going to have plenty of Hellions to go along with it. Might drop the armory, just make it an all-out assault on Rogue. One thing to note, and this is something that kind of differentiates Rogue from his peers. I don't really see him suiciding in that first Overlord all that often. A lot of the times he'll just keep it on the normal attack route, just to make sure that even if he doesn't necessarily know exactly what's coming his way, it's still close enough to kind of allow him that time to prepare for whatever's coming his way. Baneling Nest is going to come down, a little bit of a safety measure there. Now he sees that first Rax, but not going to press his luck at all. 3 Marines at a time and stim about halfway complete. That is going to be the catalyst for this attack. Looks like he's not going to be pumping out any additional Hellions either, trying to get the creep at the front. You know, Rogue's just going to go up to Lair. Might want to throw down an Evo chamber as well, just to get those upgrades going, because this has the power to overwhelm you very, very quickly. And so just getting those upgrades in a timely manner will keep you safe, since BYUN is delaying his own upgrades to make this work. So 2 almost full medevacs going to be joining the front. Combat shields is down. Here we go. First big strike of BYUN. He's going to go right on top of this 4th base. Tries to fight the queens a little bit, mono a mono. Gets one of them very, very quickly. A very hot pickup right there, going straight for the main base, but there are enough spore crawlers to shut that idea down. So now BYUN has to dance around with these units a little bit. He just has to consistently keep this threat on Rogue's side of the map. You can't really let Rogue just feel safe after this. He's already got a big drone expansion right there. But getting the queens will kind of remind him that he always has to watch his back. And now back at home, BYUN has taken the supply league, and he's getting ready with those siege tanks, with those +1 upgrades at exactly the same time almost. And he's ready for another big push very, very soon. I doubt that he would give Rogue a lot more time to breathe. Got some burrows coming in. He pushes this further and further back each time. He lost an Overlord though, so having to remake that will slow him down quite significantly as he gets up his additional ones. But here we go. Bit of a backstab getting prepared. Does he have enough at home to defend? I'd say yeah. Yeah, he's got plenty at home to defend, and he can send this across. Sorry about that. But, yeah, here we go. The Banelings making their way in the siege tank, getting a very good connection right there. 12 workers going down. The siege tanks do fall. Oh, man, this is getting worse and worse for BYUN as the seconds roll by, losing half his economy right there. Oh, my goodness. And that's going to force a lot of his units home. And now Rogue, he is confident enough to get up to that hive tech. He's got +2 upgrades coming in. And the Banelings, the Lings, the additional drones, everything is going his way now. Here we go, the big surround coming in. Some decent splits, but he's still taking so much damage to those Banes. And as the siege tanks fall, BYUN taps out. GG is called. So a really good comeback right there. He decided he couldn't win in the late game last time, so he's going to have to win it in the mid game this one. And that means we are moving on to our third map, Oxide LE. So without further ado, let's introduce these players. Both of them are on match point, spawning down here in the bottom position, representing the Shopify Rebellion for the final time in this series. He is BYUN. And his opponent, up here in the top, give it up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Rogue. Alright, so the big question for these guys, and I'm sure it's coming out on this mine, Oxide is one of those maps that opens itself up to a lot of very aggressive 2 or 3 base pushes out of a Terran player. So in this one, your positioning, your map, your choice of base is super crucial. If you come down here, you're exposed on the low ground to these ramps and to these very scary positionings on those cliff faces. But up here, you've got this beautiful position. You've got this beautiful position. You just have all the space in the world for that kind of push. And so for BYUN, it looks like he's going to go back to some old tricks, getting that 2-1-1. A very good strategy for allowing yourself that space to get up to that 3 base economy. Because essentially what you're doing is you're putting the pressure on. You're forcing, if you can get the engagements, you're forcing your opponent to spend more and more larva on lings, on banelings, so you're not getting your economy set up in the way that you would like. And then off the back of that, you have so many different avenues that you can go. I've already said it, siege tanks, a really good way to do it. You can also go into widow mines. You can get up to, I mean, you can add in Hellions, just go for a big Hellbat timing. That's not common at all, but you know what? Ladder is full of crazy things. But yeah, it's just a really good way to set yourself up very nicely. I think Rogue does want to get a scout in here, though, just to kind of confirm that that is indeed the case of what's coming his way, because you do need about 4 to 5 queens to shoo away the medevacs, and about, I want to say 20 to 30 lings is the magic number. Especially since we don't see a Baneling nest coming down at all. So that's going to be pretty important for him. But already, just going to be cleaning up some of these rock faces. I really like that. Going to keep himself safe of the follow-up, as we do have pneumatized carapace coming on in just to try and fully get an idea of the situation. A little bit of a wind-up phase for these two players now, as BYUN is going to be moving out just about when those medevacs are halfway. He wants to hit at a bit of a quicker timing when stim finishes, rather than wait for the medevacs, because that does slow you down by literal milliseconds. And as you guys know, if you give these players a millisecond, they will take a millimile. Setting himself up, just inching his way forward. The medevacs are on their way. The Baneling Nest is not complete, however, so you got to be careful with where you engage with those queens. No scan's going to be available to him just yet, so he's just going to fight in the middle of the creep. Gets fully surrounded, but going to battle his way out of it. And this is just a really good engagement for him so far. The Transfuses trying to save what they can, but those queens will fall. And now he is just stimming it to winning it all his way forward. While this won't kill Rogue, this is going to slow him down quite a bit. Oh, and missing the Marines, though, that is pretty bad. Because you do want to kind of keep this threat on Rogue's side of the map. You don't want to give him any sort of little avenue to feel safe. So now he is just going to run up behind this, get his Evo chambers started up for those +1 upgrades, and BYUN, he's going to be a little bit behind in terms of those upgrades as well, cutting them out to make sure that he can get that third base up. Getting 4 drones before backing out. Just forcing the Lings around. The Queens are in position to snipe that medevac if they so choose. So he will have to get out of there, leaving 1 man behind. That is unfortunate. So now BYUN moving his way forward. The rocks have been cleaned up. That's going to open up an avenue for a Rogue to get a surround on this one. Loses another Overlord, however, slowing him down by, again, milliseconds. A very conservative siege up location to clear up some of that creep. But I don't think BYUN is going to commit to this attack. I think he should just, you know, keep it here for a couple of seconds and then back off, rotate around, and look for another way to get in. Trying to clean up some of that creep would be nice as well, just to try and make sure that any follow-up attack will be much more hidden. Right now, Rogue is doing a really good job of kind of just pushing that back out. He's got all of his avenues covered. And keeping the Queens very far forward just to make sure that that is going to stay that way. As we see, oh, he is gearing up for a huge run by here. And kind of take a look at what's been lost here. It looks like BYUN being very cost efficient, only losing Marines while getting a whole smattering of his own units, as we do see the Banelings going to be cleaning up that supply depot and making their way in. There's still one left to soften up these SCVs, but the big engagement coming over here, the siege tank getting cleaned up, and now BYUN does get to lift the wall up. That is very important for him. But he's got to be careful not to take any bad Baneling connections. No, he did leave the siege tanks at home, so those will fall. But that was actually a very costly trade for Rogue, losing so many of these lings. He's going to have to remake all of them, and that's going to slow down his transition into that hive tech. Good siege tank shots. Gonna clean up a lot of those Banelings. Good splits as well. Gonna minimize some of that damage, but that is so many queens. Fighting 10 queens with transfuse for days. Not gonna happen anytime soon. Kind of taking a look at the situation for BYUN as well. He's just going pure siege tank marine. Like, we don't see any Marauders. We don't see those additional racks until just now. So he's really having some issue kind of rebuilding his army. I know that's silly to think about because he was making 9 at a time. But remember, there are so many Banelings out on the map, and sometimes I don't think BYUN has the best trades with them. As we see right here, he's going to be forced to lift up. Having some trouble getting those pre-splits in before the army really begins its attack. But he does have that army supply lead. He's now adding in double siege tank production. He is expecting the Hydralisk Lurker transition, I'd imagine, out of Rogue, as the hive will complete very soon. He gets a surround on this army, forces the lift up, and now will Rogue press his advantage? It looks like the answer is no. At this stage in the game, you don't want to throw away any sort of lead that you're going for. If you do, you're just going to get steamrolled by the other side. So this time, though, I do like that BYUN is going for a bit more of a late-game composition. He's got the Ghost Academy coming in. Is plus 2 upgrades for those siege tanks. Just going to make sure that they keep their hard shelling. And yeah, he's just setting himself up in a very defensive position. I think if he wants to do this, you have to push out just a little bit further in order to split the map. Otherwise, you're going to cede a lot of control to Rogue. But, I mean, we see Maru do this. I saw Dream do this before as well. You know, they just, once they get up to that late game, they want to, as the Terran player, just get into this very defensive position and force the Zerg to push into them. Like Rogue's getting a little bit too greedy. He wants all the minerals on his side of the map and all the ones on BYUN's side. As we see, he's kind of getting ready for the Spire transition. Yeah, I think Corruptors are going to be a pretty good option here. I don't think Mutalisks as much, as we can kind of see BYUN has really divvied himself up well. It looks like he's just freeing up some supply for more siege tanks and ghosts. But Rogue taking a lot of damage from these tanks as he's going to be inching his way forward on the left side. That is a planetary. And as this is going to be a very costly trade for Rogue, as those siege tanks just blasting away at the banelings. It's like he does have to save some of those ghosts, but good SimCity going to save a lot of these units as Rogue going to be pushing his way forward. Gets a kill on that CC building in the front. But now BYUN is going to be cleaning up some of that creep again. Always nice to clear up some of that. And I think from here, he's just very content to trade out these Marines with the Rogue's army. As we can see, he's not making any additional Marines right now. But he is making more SCVs. I'm not so certain that's the best call, as he is already up on 85 to the 97 of Rogue. Ooh, a couple of snipes going off, cleaning up one of that Ultralisk, but there is still a lot of banelings that BYUN is struggling a little bit to take care of. Take some big connections at the top position, but the Ultralisks will start to go down. They are moving a little bit too far forward for their britches. Might get this base, however, as BYUN is not repairing. He repairs at the very last second, but that is not going to be enough. Oh my goodness, those Ultras are so low. But he will save all of them, as BYUN will have to reestablish that. Rogue is maxed out. And BYUN is sitting on 144 supply, just remaking siege tanks, remaking ghosts. He's not looking to push out anytime soon. Rogue, however, it does not share that same fate. A couple of snipes going to clean up some of those Ultralisks early on, but the Orbital denying a lot of surface area. That will get lifted up, and the Ultras are starting to clean up some of this bio. They do get a base down here in the bottom left as well. But that was a very costly engagement once again for Rogue. He's just going to remax, however. He does not care. As long as he keeps getting damage like that, he is going to feel happy trading out these units. And honestly, I don't disagree with that. He got 19 more kills, so he's down to 50. He, again, is just not pushing out on any side of the map, so the creep is now knocking on his doorstep, and Rogue has taken every single base and then some. And here we go, once again, tunneling their way through. As the siege tanks do get cleaned up, the snipes are set, so the Ultralisk will go down. And Rogue overextending a little bit here. Will lose quite a few of those units, saving the Ultralisk at the last second, however. Now BYUN getting very bold to clear up some of that creep. Rogue just wants to get that killing blow. That's all he is looking for. 31 Banelings, 16 more Lings, 3 Ultralisks. I think that is exactly the way to do it. As BYUN kind of switching up strategies, he's saying, okay, Ghosts are okay, but once you have too many Banelings, they are not as well utilized. So I need to go back into bio. I need a buffer for my units. I'm even going to try and take this base only to find the purple creep has exploded on him, as Rogue going to be pushing his way in once again. The unstoppable Baneling wall is almost being stopped, actually, as some good focus fire on those siege tanks going to clean that out. Now the Ultras do fall. The Queens came very far forward. They wanted a piece of the action, so they will get taken down. And now BYUN, he's still in a lot of trouble. He has still not been able to establish his location down here, and he is hemorrhaging money in this unit composition. If we kind of take a look at that income advantage, yeah, 3K. So now it's all a matter of, can he reestablish these positions? He's gonna have to rely on mules for that income, as you know, you can't really rely on SCVs that are already dead. Rogue just tightening the noose on this Terran player, but trying to fight into a choke point. Once again, the Banelings do break through, and looks like the Ghost will not go down, actually, so they will be able to get those snipes off in the end. I just feel like Rogue, he's overextending himself slightly. Like, even though he does have this fabulous economy, wherein he can remax almost instantaneously, that's going to start to run out. And it looks like BYUN's going to be able to get this base for almost free. This is an important base for BYUN, by the way. He needs to take that one if he wants to stay alive. Kind of taking a look at the situation as well. Rogue's economy is just almost completely untouched. Only losing 4 workers right there, as BYUN going to be moving his way forward, inching forward slightly. Beautiful snipes. But hold that thought, as Rogue is going to dive in on top of this once again. And the Banes do get cleaned up. The Ultralisks are getting sniped. He does not finish off this location. And now the Remax is just 26 Lings, as BYUN is cleaning up this bottom left position, or bottom right position as well. BYUN, he's slowly inching his way back. And like I was saying, Rogue is not really in the best economic position for himself. Even though, yeah, he's got 90 workers. But he's mining out in all of these locations. So having 90 drones isn't going to mean too much if he can't keep these bases established. And here we go. The Siege Tank has inched its way forward. As BYUN trying to finish off this location. Rogue not wanting to engage until those Banelings are done. He's setting up the surround, but does lose the base. 18 more Lings, 1 more hatchery. He just needs the money. That's all he needs, as he's not really been able to build up a bank at any stage. Looks like here we go. Once again, the Ghosts very far forward, and Rogue once again taking huge losses to the Siege Tanks in the back. The Corruptors cleaning up the air army, finishing them off, but he loses the rest of his forces, and now the Corruptors are very, very exposed. And you know what? Rogue says he's had enough. If I can't break you, no one will. And that means BYUN will take the series. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you see here, hit that like, favorite, and subscribe. And we will see you all at the next big event.